best advice for women in business. Get your up and work.
If I'm awake, I'm working. I'll be driving my Bugatti Chiron through Dubai, working.
We commonly see people talk about how hard work is the key to success, and if you're not successful, you're probably not working hard enough. And in today's video, we are going to find out how much truth is really in that statement, and how does overworking affect our mental health.
According to the World Health Organization, 480 million people are exposed to the risk of overworking annually. And last year, 755,000 people have died from overworking. Studies from the WHO also show that people who are working 55 hours or more in a week have a 17% chance higher risk of dying of heart disease and a 35% chance higher risk of getting a stroke.
A surge in work-related deaths is forcing Japan to take a hard look at its office culture.
You may be going, well, kid, how is that even possible? I think it's very possible.
He says, I was working 18 hours a day and sleeping just 4.
As we can see, overworking is very prevalent in our society. And to answer more questions, I am going to bring in an expert, Dr. Estrada, who is our school counselor, a PhD in psychology, and a leader in active minds. So where do you think the line is drawn between working hard and overworking?
Working hard is kind of like expected, right? But overworking is when doing your work gets in the way of taking care of yourself. Doing your work gets in the way of getting enough sleep, getting proper nutrition, resting, relaxing, having fun, having a social life. That would be overworking, when the amount of work gets in the way of having a normal life that you can enjoy.
I think Dr. Estrada has made some great points there, and to back it up with further evidence, according to a Yale professor, Professor Markovitz, he says that if you ask elite workers in general, in business, in finance, in law, how many fewer hours a week they would like to work, the answer in large numbers, 10 fewer hours a week, 15 fewer hours a week. And because there are people right now working 60, 70, and 80 hours a week. So what do you think causes this kind of hustle culture mindset that people develop, that, you know, all of my life is needed to be dedicated to work? Like what do you think that causes this mindset?
Well, I mean, if you're talking specifically about school, obviously this is a college preparatory school, so students are trying to get ready for college, and obviously getting into highly selective college is a competition. So many students just get into the mindset of, I need to be the best at everything to achieve my goal. So we get fixated in achieving certain goals, and that, along with the competition, produces that problem.
Obviously, I'm all for people to work hard and to achieve their dreams and to aim high. As previously Dr. Estrada has said, hard work is expected, and I truly believe that. However, when we develop bad habits that influence our health physically and mentally, that is something that should be concerned and looked upon. You can see that many people get too focused on this one thing where they just completely forget about their own personal life, and that we have a life and have personal relationships as well. So do you think that there's a correlation, obviously, between hard work and success? And as you mentioned earlier, you talked about there is a difference between, you know, hard work and overworking. So do you think there's a correlation?
You know, hard work and success, like the interesting thing is that the first thing we should do is to define success. Because it can mean different things to different people. If you truly think about the meaning of being successful, it's like, okay, what do you really mean by that? And most people actually mean that they're going to be doing something that is really fulfilling, that all their needs are going to be met, and that they're going to have a good life, right?
Yeah.
So there are many ways to achieve that are not getting into a highly selective college after working on overworking, and so just keeping in mind, like, okay, what do I mean by success? And realizing that being successful is having a clear purpose and fulfilling that purpose. Being successful is not just achieving goals that are going to produce a state of, you know, being overworked, stressed out, you know, produce like many unpleasant emotions. That's not being successful. Okay, yeah, you achieved many goals, but
At what cost?
yes. So I think we don't spend enough time thinking about what success means.
We have learned a lot about the differences between overworking and working hard and how to keep our lifestyle balanced. However, I still want to get onto one more part, which is the student life. Many students' mental health get overlooked. So today I'll be interviewing some students about this topic.
So now I'll be interviewing some of these victims, I mean students, and talk about the work ethic and around how much homework they do, extracurriculars, and talk about their stress levels and how they deal with them.
Hey David, so around on average, how many hours of homework do you do per day?
Per day, I do about 1.5 to 2 hours of homework per day.
Do you have like any like extracurriculars that you do?
Yeah, I do baseball for the school. I do baseball outside of school. I go to the gym every day.
So like with all like the work that you do you ever feel stressed in any way?
I feel stressed, but I feel like
It's doable? Yeah,
I think it's manageable. I think the teachers are really understanding and really outgoing with help, so that's good.
And like if you ever do feel stressed, like how do you deal with it?
I usually, if I feel like extremely stressed, I usually take a break from my homework, whether I do it and study all the next day or I just ask my teacher for an extension. If I feel really stressed, I'll read a book, I'll watch some TV, listen to some music, just do some stuff that really calms me.
Hey Ben, so how many hours do you work on homework around per day?
I would say that like cutting out like distractions, probably like 3 good hours of like work.
So do you ever feel stressed about it?
Not as much stress, but like definitely I guess overwhelmed. And yeah.
Do you have any strategies to deal with stress
So
that you do?
a great strategy is to sleep. I take a lot of naps. I think if you like if you're like stressed, take a nap for an hour and you wake up and do your homework, perfect.
Alright, thanks man.
Thanks.
So how many hours per day do you work?
Probably 1.5 to 2.
Okay, so do you ever feel stressed when you're working that amount?
Yes.
So how do you deal with the stress?
Sometimes I just do it later, or I'll do it during my study hours, or I just get it done and then I worry about it later.
How many hours do you do on homework?
Like a day?
Yeah, a day, yeah.
I feel like 2 to 3.
So do you ever feel stressed when you're doing homework, or like that amount of homework, amount of hours do you do?
Yes.
Stress? Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you deal with the stress? It should be fine.
I try to not procrastinate.
Is that like good tip? Okay. So how many hours do you sleep per day?
8.
8? Okay.
Yeah, that's
good.
something I'm very strict about.
Everyone, today I'm with Kendall, and she is probably one of the most accoladed and acclaimed students I have ever known. She's our SJ president, also the president of JSA, Junior State of America, and maybe the future president, I don't know. So that is why, and she is going to attend Harvard, so. So today we're with her. So how many hours of homework, just homework alone, do you do per day?
I would say homework alone, probably I'd say 4 to 5 hours. It's a lot, but I take 6 AP classes, and so I have to allocate enough time for, you know, all of those different classes, and it's a lot, yeah.
So how about like extracurricular activities?
Extracurriculars, let's see, I do like 3 different things outside of school, so I'd probably say maybe 2 to 3 hours. Most of the time they don't take too long.
Okay. So how do you like all balance that out? So with so many things I do.
I think I definitely had to learn, like especially in my junior year, that I had to sacrifice things that I felt could not serve me as well. You know, for instance, I used to do like track a lot, and I had to kind of give that up this year because I was, you know, trying to figure out graduating and all these other things. So definitely time management. that you find what you like the most and what you're most passionate about, and then kind of taking away the other things that you feel are kind of unnecessary or taking up parts of your time that you don't want to like lose.
Yeah.
So
So I think with all of that work that you do you ever feel stressed in any way?
yes, I definitely always feel stressed. I don't think there's ever a day where I don't feel stressed. But I mean, you know, some of it is like kind of rewarding. Like even though stuff takes a really long time, or I'm working on a project outside of school that, you know, requires all of my effort and all of my concentration, it feels good to be finished with it. And at
In the end, you know, like you're all done with that.
Exactly.
So how do you deal with it?
How do I
Sometimes
deal
with stress, yeah.
with stress? I do a lot of like just kind of dance. I do like contemporary dance sometimes outside of school, and then aside from that, I also like to walk around a lot with my dog. So we'll go to the park, and I'll be like, all right, we need to de-stress, and that'll be our thing.
That's like kind of like, is there like any like hobby that you like to do? So like to relieve your stress?
A hobby. I would say I love watching Netflix. I love hanging out with friends, of course. Yeah, puzzles. I really like puzzles.
So how many hours do you sleep per day with all the things that you have?
It's not a lot. It's like I would say on average 4 to 5. If I'm lucky, 5 hours, but most of the time I go to sleep really late. Just because I have, like, for instance, I'm part of a gun violence prevention organization, and our meetings are really late, and then we do stuff after the meetings. So I often end up going to sleep like really, really late, and yeah.
Do you think that you can handle it, like with all the things, especially sleeping, you know, around 5 hours per day? Do you think it's like manageable for you?
For me, I think there are definitely like busy periods and then areas where it's like not that bad. Like right now, my school schedule has been kind of busy and demanding, so I feel more stressed out than usual. But most of the time I can manage it. I just have to have like.
It's manageable.
Yeah.
I think with all of like the strategies that you have, like it all kind of balances out.
Yeah, it does. Especially weekends. Like weekends, I've used a lot for rest. So that's really important.
Would you like recommend your type of working style to others?
Would I recommend my type of work?
Yeah, like your work ethic.
No. Well, I think you have to have a certain amount of motivation and drive for stuff. Like for instance, with college, I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew I was gonna have to like work my butt off to do that. And you really have to, if you are passionate about something, you have to commit. You have to dedicate all your time to that thing. And a lot of people have interests like that, where they're willing to give up so much of their life and their time to it. So yeah, I mean, I think other people can kind of handle that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, I'm happy to help. Bye, everybody.
From these interviews, we have seen that students have different working hours, priorities, and tolerance levels. So instead of giving them a very generic term for working harder, students should analyze their own situation and create a schedule that they can balance their work and personal life so that they can work hard but not be overworked. Considering what we have discussed, don't overwork yourself and be patient in what you do. Everyone's situation is different, so set up a schedule that you are comfortable with. And hopefully, this video has inspired you to get up and work, not hard, but well. And as always, I'll see you next time.